welcome to one of my book outlet unboxing videos. I'm starting off with this one today to share some of the adventure books that I have gotten from Book Outlet. For those of you who may follow me on some of my other social media, you will know that I am an elementary school librarian, and I have been for 17 years, and I am currently on a sabbatical for a year to travel the United States with my children in our RV. So I'm coming to you from the inside of our RV. It's 25 feet long, and we spent 4 months up in the Northeast, and then we plan on heading south and west for about 6 months before we need to be back for the start of a new school year for both my children and I. So first, a little bit about Book Outlet and why I like to purchase my books from them. Now, these are more my personal reads. Yes, I could buy some of these for my school library because they do have quite a selection of children's books, hardcovers, soft covers. That's just an option I haven't pursued yet, but I can't say that I won't do that at some point. So what a lot of people don't know is that retailers can buy books on consignment. And so what that means is if a book doesn't sell, they can actually return the books to the publisher for credit. Now, at some point, a company like bookoutlet.com swoops in, purchases these books. Some are brand new, some have slight damage to them, and their website will let you know that. And basically, they turn around and sell these books at a very discounted rate. Now, Book Outlet is fun because they offer you points. So a couple ways you can get points is they offer a monthly quiz. So you go online, you answer maybe 10 to 15 questions, and you get a book recommendation at the end, and then you earn 10 points for that. Another way is by following them on different social media platforms. You get points for that. Also, referring friends. So down in the comments below, I will leave my referral link. Once again, I'm just earning points for that. For example, 100 points will give me $5 off an order, and then it goes up from there. So right now, I actually have a $5 credit on my account. You also get points when you purchase books online. Another thing I like about Book Outlet is that if you purchase $35 worth of books, then you get the shipping for free. And it's amazing how quickly, and how many books you can actually add to get up to 35 and how many books you actually get for the 35. Because nowadays, if you were to go into a store, I could probably get these two bottom hardcovers for 35. So lots of good deals online. Now, probably a year ago, they sent an email and they said, here are some books for people who love travel and the outdoors. So of course that sucked me in right away, and off I went to do some shopping on their website. So I'm going to share some of the books that I purchased from that email and from Book Outlet. The one thing about Book Outlet is sometimes they have very limited quantities of books, and other times they might have a few hundred of them. So even though I'm sharing them with you, they may not be on their website anymore, and they could have sold out. If you do add things to your wish list, that allows you to save some books, and you can actually see how many they have in stock, and if a book is sold out, or maybe if it comes back in stock, then you can see that on your wish list. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of the books too. So the first book that we have here is called Adventure Capitalist: The Ultimate Road Trip by Jim Rogers. And so a little bit about this one, it looks like his adventure started back in 1999. So it says, behind the wheel of a sunburst yellow custom-built convertible Mercedes, legendary investor Jim Rogers and his fiancée, Paige Parker, began a 3-year drive around the world from Iceland to New York on January 1st, 1999. They traveled through 116 countries, careening through war zones, deserts, jungles, epidemics, and blizzards, surviving many narrow escapes. Best of all, they saw the real world from the ground up, economically, politically, and socially. From the experience, Roger drew some compelling conclusions. So it lists some of the conclusions that he came to after traveling around the world. You can also see his fancy yellow car that he drove around. So this one looked like a lot of fun. Very small print inside. A lot of these I haven't read yet, but I do bring some books with me on the trips, and one of my cupboards is actually a bookshelf for our homeschooling things. books that I read to the kids, books that they have, and then books that I bring. All right, I love a good mystery book. So this one is called Descent by Tim Johnston. And it says, in the Rocky Mountains, they have cast their spell over the Courtlands, who are taking a family vacation before their daughter leaves for college. But when Caitlin and her younger brother Sean go out for an early morning run, and only Sean returns, the mountains become as terrifying as they are majestic. Written with a precision that captures every emotion, every moment of fear, as each member of the family searches for answers, Descent races like an avalanche towards its heart-pounding conclusion. So this is a fiction story. Of course, that would be my worst nightmare, getting lost in the woods. All right, another book that I purchased was The Smell of Other People's Houses by Bonnie Sue Hitchcock. Beautiful cover. It says, 4 very different lives are about to become entangled. Ruth has a secret that she can't hide forever. Dora wonders if she can ever truly escape where she's come from. Alice can't bring herself to leave the life she's always known. Hank and his brother decide it's safer to run away. They live in Alaska, on the cold edge of America, where each one must find the strength, courage, and heart to survive. Bonnie Sue Hitchcock's extraordinary intertwining of stories of love, tragedy, wild luck, and salvation on America's last frontier introduce a writer of rare talent. This is a book about people who try to save each other and how sometimes when they least expect it, they succeed. Now this book even says it comes with a discussion guide, but this one sounds really good. It's neat too to have traveled to Alaska, so I'm looking forward to reading that book and see if I can make any connections on places I've been in that state with the story. All right, the next one is The Cafe by the Sea by Jenny Colgan. She wrote a New York Times best-selling book called The Bookshop on the Corner. Probably something I would like to. So years ago, Flora fled the quiet Scottish island where she grew up, and she hasn't looked back. What would she have done on Muir? Is it a place where everyone has known her all her life, where no one will let her forget the past? In bright, bustling London, she can be anonymous, ambitious, and hopelessly in love with her boss. Yet when fate brings Flora back to the island, she's suddenly swept once more into life with her brothers, all strapping, loud, and seemingly incapable of basic housework, and her father. Yet amid the chaos of their reunion, Flora discovers a passion for cooking and finds herself restoring a dusty little pink-fronted shop on the harbor, a cafe by the sea. But with the seasons changing, Flora must come to terms with past mistakes and work out exactly where her future lies. So that sounds like a very good one too. Maybe even going back and trying to read A Bookshop on the Corner. If I haven't already, it does sound familiar. All right, another book I purchased, The Good Girl's Guide to Getting Lost. And this book, it's a memoir of 3 continents, 2 friends, and 1 unexpected adventure. And it's by Rachel Friedman. Rachel Friedman has always been the consummate good girl who does well in school and plays it safe. So the college grad surprises no one more than herself when, on a whim, and in an effort to escape impending life decisions, she buys a ticket to Ireland, a place she has never visited. There she forms an unlikely bond with a free-spirited Australian girl, a born adventurer who spurs Rachel on to a year-long odyssey that takes her to 3 continents, fills her life with newfound friends, and gives birth to a previously unrealized passion for adventure. As her journey takes her to Australia and South America, Rachel discovers and embraces her love of travel, unlocking more truths about herself than she ever realized she was seeking. Along the way, the erstwhile good girl finally learns to do something she's never done before, and that's simply live for the moment. So that sounds like a good one, and a memoir. Now, it's neat too, she buys a ticket to Ireland. My husband and I have been to Ireland, and that's one of the best trips we've ever taken. We actually bought a Groupon to go to Ireland, and it worked out really well. So don't discount those as a possible way to visit a location at a discounted price. All right, the next book, Around the World in 50 Years, My Adventure to Every Country on Earth by Albert Podell. This is the inspiring story of an ordinary guy who achieved two great goals that others had told him were impossible. First, he set a record for the longest automobile journey ever made around the world, during which he blasted his way out of minefields, survived a serious accident and topped the peak of death, came within seconds of being lynched, and lost 3 of the 5 who started with him, 2 to disease and 1 to the Viet Cong. After all, Albert Pottle set another record by going to every country on earth. He survived riots, revolution, civil wars, trigger-happy child soldiers, voodoo priests, jihads, robbers, corrupt cops, and Cape Buffalo. He traveled through every kind of earthquake, cyclone, tsunami, and volcanic eruptions, snowstorms, and sandstorms that nature threw at him. He ate everything from old camel meat and African field rats to dung beetles and the brain of a live monkey. And he overcame encounters with crocodiles, hippos, anacondas, giant leeches, flying crabs, and several beautiful women who insist that he stop this nonsense and marry him. Around the World in 50 Years is a remarkable and meaningful tale packed with some of the most memorable, frightening, and hilarious adventure stories you have ever read. That one sounds like a good one, and again, looks like it's based on a true story. I like the cover too with all the stamps on it from the different countries. All right, so I'm getting into a couple hardcovers. This first one is called Walking to Listen. 4,000 Miles Across America, One Story at a Time. So this is a hardback. Usually, in all honesty, I don't ever spend, I don't think more than $8 on any of the books that I buy from Book Outlet. This one has a tiny bit of damage up by the spine up at the top. But again, I mean, I don't think that's anything that I'm too worried about. Especially if I'm dragging it all over on a trip with me. All right, so neat end papers too with the big map in here. So it says at 23, Andrew, and I'm probably going to butcher his name, Forsthoffel, walked out the back door of his home in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania, with a backpack, an audio recorder, his copies of Whitman and Rilke, and a sign that read, Walking to Listen. He had just graduated from Middlebury College and was ready to begin his adult life, but he didn't know how, so he decided he'd walk and listen. It would be a cross-country quest for guidance, and everyone he met would be his guide. Walking towards the Pacific, he faced an Appalachian winter and a Mojave summer. He met beasts inside, fear, loneliness, and doubt, but he also encountered incredible kindness from strangers. Thousands shared stories with him, sometimes confiding their prejudices too. Often he didn't know how to respond, how to find unity in diversity, how to stay connected even as fear works to tear us apart. He listened for answers to these questions and to the existential questions every human must face, and began to find that the answers might be in listening itself. Ultimately, it's the stories of others living all along the roads of America that carry this journey and sing out in a hopeful, heartfelt book about how a life is made and how our nation defines itself on the most human level. And then here's a picture of him on the back book jacket. So sounds like a good one. You could see him on the cover with his sign, Walking to Listen. So this is one of my hardcovers that I purchased. And then another one that I bought is called A Year in America's National Parks, Lassoing the Sun by Mark Woods. And again, just a beautiful cover. So this book says, for many childhood summers, Mark Woods piled into a station wagon with his parents and 2 sisters and headed to America's national parks. Mark's most vivid childhood memories are set against a backdrop of mountains, woods, and fireflies in places like Redwood, Yosemite, and Grand Canyon National Parks. On the eve of turning 50 and feeling a little burnt out, know that feeling, Mark decided to reconnect with the great outdoors. He spent a year visiting the national parks. He planned to take his mother to a park she'd not yet visited and recreate his childhood trips with his wife and their iPad generation daughter. Sounds familiar again. But then the unthinkable happened. Oh, not this though. His mother was diagnosed with cancer and given just months to live. Mark had initially intended to write a book about the future of the national parks, but it grew into something more. a book about family, the parks, and the legacies we inherit and the ones we leave behind. So this one, if I had to pick any of them right now to read, this one would probably have to be at the top of my list. A, based on a true story. B, going to national parks. Sometimes people ask me, have you set a goal to visit every national park? I mean, yeah, one day, but that's not what the purpose of my year traveling is. It is just to kind of reconnect with my children, to get out there and travel and see things. And much like Mark, when I was younger, my mom would pile us into the station wagon or the minivan with my older sister and younger brother, and we would leave South Florida and we would travel pretty much west, seeing different national parks, because she is now a retired teacher, but she was a teacher at the time. So she had her summers available to take us on trips, much like Mark mentions in the book. Only we did not have iPads. We had the Celine Dion tape that we always joked. My mom played it so much that we always would just say, hey mom, turn it off and we will sing in the back of the car for you, because we pretty much knew all the songs in order and all the lyrics. So, you know, it's not uncommon for us to bust out in Do You Know the Way to San Jose? So we still joke about that to this day. So, you know, our only view was outside the window and not at an iPad screen. But this one does sound like it might have to move to the top of my reading list, because it sounds like I can connect to Mark and what he's doing. All right, so one last book to talk about, which I happen to have 2 copies of. And so what I've decided to do is down in the comments down below, if you saw a book that spoke to you, that looks like something you might want to read, comment about that book title down below. Let it be hopefully one of these books that I shared with you on the video. And then I will choose a reader to get one of these books. And so I'm going to give it till, let's say, December 23rd, 2019, to post your comment down below. And then I will get that book mailed off before I leave on my next trip. Starting January 2nd, the boys and I are leaving the RV. We decided, since I still have family down in Florida, that we would just drive the car. And so we're spending a little over a month down in the state of Florida, just exploring some places I haven't been to in a long time and visiting with some family. So we're looking forward to being snowbirds for the month of January and part of February. All right, so the last book I want to tell you about, I guess it must have sounded so good I bought 2 copies, but it's called Wandering Home, A Long Walk Across America's Most Hopeful Landscape by Bill McKibben. So in one of his most personal books, Bill McKibben invites readers to join him on a hike from his current home in Vermont to his former home in the Adirondacks. Here he reveals that the motivation for his impassioned environmental activism is not high-minded or abstract, but as tangible as the lakes and forests he explored in his 20s. The same woods where he lives with his family today. Over the course of his journey, McKibben meets with old friends and kindred spirits, including activists, writers, organic farmers, a vintner, a beekeeper, and environmental studies students, all in touch with nature and committed to its preservation. For McKibben, there is no better place than these woods to work out a balance between the wild and the cultivated, the individual and the global community, and to discover the answers to the challenges facing our planet today. So again, this book is called Wandering Home, and since I purchased 2 copies, I am going to give one away. So comment down below what book you would like to read out of the ones that I talked about, or one that just sounded interesting to you or that maybe you can make a connection to. Again, we'll do that up until December the 23rd, and then I will randomly choose a winner of somebody who made a comment, and you will receive one of these books, and I'll get that out in the mail before I leave on January 2nd. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope to bring you some more Book Outlet book hauls and sharing some of the great books that I have found from there. Goodbye.